Welcome to another episode of the Theater Podcast, intimate personal conversations with theater's biggest names. I am Alan Seals.
And I'm Jillian Hoffman.
And we are online. In case you haven't followed us on Instagram or Twitter, we're theater_podcast, on facebook.com/official theater podcast. And as always, you can contact us, feedback at thetheaterpodcast.com. This episode is featuring Loren Lott, who I most recently saw on Broadway in Once on This Island.
Yeah, she's so good.
Oh, she was so good.
That was a great show. That was a great performance. Like, sometimes when you go see a show and there's the understudy or the swinger or somebody on, you're like, oh, I want to see the star. She was the star. She was amazing.
I loved chatting with her, and apologies in advance for a subpar audio quality you may not be used to on this podcast, because we did record while she was in LA. She's actually got a regular role now on The Young and the Restless. So she lives out there now, moved out away from New York a while ago, but we remain in contact. And gosh, she is so unapologetically transparent about who she is.
Yeah, I love that. She has this vibe of, this is me, this is what I like, and maybe my hair is not real and I like wigs and maybe I wear contacts, but this is still me and this is part of who I am.
But I loved how you said that she wears wigs, but originally it wasn't by choice, because she gets deep into this, like some secrets of American Idol, which...
Don't spoil it.
Yeah, gosh. Yeah, she's obviously probably... She got on the internet radar from being on American Idol, but gosh, yeah, the stress of that, just, I'm not going to spoil it, but I'm so, I guess, enamored is not the right word. I admire her for just telling it like it is.
Yeah, you don't always get that from people, especially in this industry, and she's just like, I'm here. This is what it is. Let's do it.
Yeah. And even if you follow her on Instagram too, she's just, this is what it is. Here's what I'm doing. And she is just one of the most interesting people that I have, that I've actually talked to. And she's made this amazing transition from theater to TV. And it's a very well-established soap opera that she's going to probably be on for a very long time, unless they decide to kill her off for some reason.
We're going to see good things from her.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yes, everybody, please enjoy this episode with Loren Lott.
Here you go. 1, 2, 3.
Today I have the pleasure of speaking with a uniquely talented individual. She's appeared on Broadway in Motown the Musical and Once on This Island, after making it to the top 16 in American Idol season 14, now playing the character of Anna Hamilton in The Young and the Restless, star of stage and screen, and twin, if I understand correctly. Loren Lott, thank you for taking the time to chat with me today.
Hey, thank you for having me.
No problem. So you are a twin, right? I got that right?
Yeah, I'm totally a twin.
Are you the older or younger twin?
I'm the older twin. Boop, boop.
So younger brother or sister?
It's a brother.
Brother. And do you beat up on him all the time like an older sister should?
Man, yes. Of course I do. Mind you, he's like 9 feet taller than me now. He had a crazy growth spurt when we were in like middle school. So he's like massive. He's like actually a very big man, and then I'm a very small lady.
Well, you're like, what, 5'4", 5'5"?
Well, thank you. I'm 5'3.5" exactly, but I'll take it.
How tall is your brother then?
Oh, I don't know. He's got to be like 6'2", 6'3".
Jeez, are your parents tall?
Yeah. My mother is not, but all of the men in the family are tall. So
nice. Well, that's actually a perfect segue, because on the podcast here, we like to go back to your humble beginnings and talk about what made you who you are and where you got to where you are right now. So let's just rewind the clock a little bit and tell me about what you were like as a kid. When did you start performing and singing?
Well, I've started singing in church when I was 1 year old. Around 12 months, my grandmother started putting me on stage to sing, or whatever version of singing that is. Mm-hmm. You can do at 1. That's what I started doing, and I started performing at certain events that my grandmother is, she was a politician. She's not really anymore. But she's still like very active, but she was the first African-American president of the San Diego School Board.
No kidding.
Yeah. So I went to a lot of events, and I spoke at a lot of things, sang in a lot of things. So I started getting comfortable in front of, an audience. And then I definitely became like the look at me type of girl. Like, oh, look at me. Watch me sing. Watch me dance. Watch me create a play that I just pulled out my armpit and just like, watch me do it. Whoop, whoop. So, I was always that girl until I turned 15 and got stage fright for the very first time. Changed everything. I was still like, look at me, but I was still also like, can you like look at me like after I'm confident that I'm killing it, then turn around again?
So, I guess, those are in the impressionable years when all of a sudden you want everybody to like you regardless.
Oh, yes, yeah. Definitely.
But so you grew up in San Diego, right?
Yes.
And how long were you in San Diego then?
I was in San Diego for until I was about 17. I left for college when I was 17.
Okay, so you were there until 17, but I remember I was reading a story about you online that that you submitted yourself to auditions out there on the West Coast when you were 13, but before that, it was around age 6 or 7 or something. You wanted to go somewhere, and your mom said you couldn't because you'd be famous or something.
Yes, so I wanted to be a star like early. I was like, Mom, I want to act. Like, this is what I want to do. And she was like, no, because you won't have a normal childhood. And I want you to have a childhood, and you won't be able to like go to the bathroom by yourself because people won't go to the bathroom, and you won't be able to go to Knott's Berry Farm because people will be like following you into the bathroom. And I thought about like personal, but like, when you have a twin, you don't really use the bathroom alone anyway. Because they come with you, you do everything together. So the thought of more people in the bathroom seemed horrible. So I was like, no, I'm not going to do that to myself. I'll wait. And she said, ask me again when you're 13. And I did. Totally remembered and asked her when I was 13. But before that, for sure, she was like, you'll get followed. And we had watched it. We had watched like she showed me like the American Dream story, the Michael Jackson movie where he was like, had a horrible childhood. And then we watched something about like Full House where the girl tried to go to the bathroom at Disneyland and people were following her into the bathroom. Like, she definitely traumatized me with it. And I was like, oh yeah, no, that's for the birds. I'm not doing any of that. So
that's so weird.
I left it alone.
I mean, smart of her, I guess. But then on your 13th birthday, like literally on your birthday, you asked for a copy of Backstage magazine. Is that what it was? I
think, I mean, she definitely remembers better than I do. I like suck remember this, but I remember being 13. I don't remember if it was on my birthday, but it was what I wanted for a gift. So maybe it was my birthday, but I did ask her if she would get me a subscription to Backstage.com because I had heard a lot of directors talking about it and saying that was where they were finding talent, or where they were where a lot of agencies were looking there, and they put auditions up there. And at the time, that was the only like casting net place that I knew of. So I wanted to be on it immediately.
And how did you get yourself in there? Obviously, I mean, it sounds like you've been doing your research ahead of time, but like, did you have headshots? How did you submit yourself?
Oh, okay. So my mother like went outside with a digital camera as like most of our mothers do when we like, or our friends, whatever, when we're like, no, I want to do this. They're like, oh, you need headshots. Here's my iPhone. Here's a picture. But we went out with like a digital camera and took pictures. They were tacky, but somehow they got people interested. Oh, and I also had a teacher. Oh, I went to a media arts high school, and I learned Photoshop and video editing there. And all of our teachers were like experts in mass media. And one of my teachers took a couple of pictures for me. Again, they were tacky, but somehow they got me in the door. And after sending about 300 emails or whatever submissions to all these casting people with these bold messages too, I was like, my name is Loren. I'm a star, and I would like to be in your agency. So either get involved now or watch it happen.
Wow, that is bold.
I know, like, you can't get away with that stuff as an adult. As a child, that's cute. As an adult, it's like, oh, disgusting. But as a child, I just knew what I wanted. And I was like, either do it or watch it happen. And I was like, yeah. And I got one response, and that ended up being my first agent in LA.
So you landed your one agent, your manager or your agent?
I landed my agent. And then after my agent put me on his website, I landed my first manager after that.
Wonderful. And then, so you worked in Hollywood for a while. What were you doing?
In Hollywood, I was auditioning. I used to drive up from San Diego. My mother would just come up to school and like take me out for every audition. And then finally I booked my first one, which was a Disney commercial. And it was my first national commercial that ended up being a national commercial on accident because it was just supposed to be an internet commercial. And then I guess whatever, it got picked up by something. And then it ended up being a national commercial. And I didn't even get paid as if it were a national commercial. I got paid once for the internet thing. And then ended up being everywhere.
Wait, isn't that like there's union rules against that? Or I guess if you were
non-union. I was non-union.
Oh,
I did not join the union until The Young and the Restless.
Which we will get to.
I had joined the union before that, but I didn't have to join it because in Atlanta, it's like half of a union. Mm-hmm. Until you get to LA, and then they're like, pay the rest.
Well, then Atlanta, you went to Clark Atlanta University, right?
Yes.
So you got a Bachelor of Arts degree in mass media arts with a focus in radio and TV and film. What is that?
Okay, so that is basically the behind the scenes of creating media. So that is the news, that's reporting, that's video editing, camera work, coming up with a story. That's the research of Black people in media. This from a long time ago. Yeah, I think that's all of it. Yeah, reporting, video editing, shooting. Yeah, everything behind the scenes of media.
And is that what you originally thought you wanted to do, is be behind the camera?
No, I did that because I love making videos. I love video editing. But I really also wanted to have a backup plan. And I didn't want to study musical theater or any type of acting because I was already doing that. So I wanted to more so learn about something that I wasn't getting like a firsthand experience in. Because even when I was in college, I had just done like Shrek the Musical at this big theater out there called the Alliance Theater. And I was working a lot in Atlanta. So I wanted something else. Like I didn't want that to become, I didn't want to work in that and come and like do it and then be frustrated if I wasn't doing enough in the class. I just wanted I wanted something that I wasn't already learning. And I figured if anything failed, I would be able to go behind the scenes and become a producer or an editor or something like that. But I really didn't think anything would fail. I really got a degree so that I could tell people I had one so people wouldn't bother me in the future.
Were you performing all throughout that time though? Like when you were getting your degree, you still performed?
Yes, and my school gave me such a hard time. I love them though, but I remember I failed a test one day because I had to shoot for 4 days for this show called Fatal Attraction. It was my first leading role on a TV show, and my teacher was like, "Well, you need to get your priorities straight because you can't miss this test." And I missed it anyway. And which I'm so glad I did. I did now because that's on my resume. Whereas like nobody cares about this grade that I didn't get on this test. But
that is a really tricky part though, because there are people that I've interviewed and people that I've talked to, like Ariana DeBose, and she was one of the earliest episodes that earliest people I've interviewed, and she dropped out of college to pursue performing and moved up to New York. And Michaela Diamond, I've read, like she's in the Cher show now. She's talked about not going to school yet either because she got this Broadway gig. And I mean, if you were to give advice to somebody, like obviously you made the right choice. It's worked for you, but in general, are you like pro or against this sort of thing? I mean, I don't want to go out and advocate, like, don't go to school.
Yeah, that's hard also because I think that you should always be studying acting and studying voice and all of that. I think that the school system is actually kind of set up to box you anyway. Though I do think people should go so that you know how to play the game. Because that's really what school did for me. I definitely, I think, just learned how to play the game and then learned a lot of stuff is not that important, And there's nothing anybody can ever say to me because I do have a degree. You know, I did actually go and get it out. I have no regrets. I have nothing that's left over. I have nothing where in the future I'll be like, oh, well, maybe I should go back and, like, I got it over with. And I did it early. Like I started at 17, finished by 21, I think 21 and 22. Mm-hmm. So I was like that now that's a whole chapter behind me and I can move off into my career. I do believe I would be much further had I just jumped into it. And I would have been just fine, jumping right into it, because college, that's more for people who are going to study, other things. Whereas I feel like actors, if the system was really set up to cater to, what each of us wanted to do, then we would all be in acting school, not going to college to learn all these extra things that we're never going to use. They don't actually matter in the future, But
isn't part of being a successful actor? I mean, you have to know to market yourself. You have to know that you are your own product and you are a business of one. Mm-hmm. And I feel there's a lot of kids that come out of conservatories that they can act and sing beautifully and they have no idea how to find a job.
Oh, why not?
Because they don't know the business side of it. They don't know how to market themselves or how to follow up. Or, I mean, now, gosh, I've been out of college for such a while now, but like how to play the social media game, there's just so much that you need to do to be seen and to be heard and get yourself out there that I feel like that. I mean, do you agree that acting and singing, knowing how to act and sing is only part of the whole puzzle?
Oh, 100%. So what I started doing was, because I was taking all of these classes, I was taking so many acting classes, I was doing workshops, all these things. There is an art to auditioning that I think is so important, and a lot of actors need to be studying if you want to get a job, because you can be an incredible actor, go into an audition, and an audition isn't like what it's actually going to be when you're on set at all. It's an art to me in itself. And a lot of people naturally can be great actors and great auditioners, but a lot of us don't connect the two, to doing like a small little like 2-page snippet versus doing a full scene, and like the setup and all these things. It's totally different. So I think it's important to learn the arts of auditioning.
Right.
As well.
Right. Yeah. I'm auditioning and for me still, I think maybe what I'm trying to get at here is inherently, instinctively, you knew the hustle. Like you said, at 13, you sent out 300 emails and you got one response. That's playing the game. That's playing the numbers.
Oh, yes. I always played the game. I always realized that, especially I'm Black. So I had to maneuver a lot of things being a Black woman, because I always knew that my competition, people were so honest with me. And I think I don't think it's that way anymore. But when I was growing up, people would straight up say, for this role where you're going to sing, we would need you to be fatter because you're dark skinned and you sing. And that's the image that we're going for. Or for a while, I was too thin for a lot of things, because they were like, no, for this role, we wanted to be dark. We wanted to be fat. And I was like, so the only Black girl on your entire show has to be fat? And then I started picking up little pieces of that. So I started trying to figure out different ways to fix my look, or all of these things that would get me in the door. Because for a while, it's kind of it's definitely a game with Black women in itself, with booking, with how your hair looks, with if your hair is. I had one casting director whose name I will never mention, but I went into his workshop one day. I went in, my hair was pulled back into a curly ponytail. And it was a big fluffy ponytail attachment. Hey, but he looked at me and he said, yeah, I would definitely cast you as a hooker or a maid, the help, maybe a prostitute. And I was like, okay, thought nothing of it. The next day I came in with my hair straight, with a little bit of wave in it, I had bumped some curls in it. And he said, I would cast you as a businesswoman or a lawyer. Wow. And I didn't make it a big thing. He thought nothing of it. This was just his view of Black women, one with curly hair and one with straight. I was literally the same exact person.
Was the casting director white or black?
He was a white man.
Yeah.
And that taught me so much with playing the game. that changed my whole perspective on playing the game, because then I started doing my research. If I'm going in for this casting director, I need to have more of this look. If I'm going in for these people in there and they cast for more of a show with white teenage girls, I'm going to go on with my hair looking like this. Like I just started maneuvering the game that way.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I guess unfortunately a necessary evil, but you seem to be doing rather well.
Oh yes, I feel like I've gotten it. I've got it down pretty well. I'm definitely still learning, but it's a little bit of an obsession.
Well, yeah, that's kind of crazy. I mean, that explains a little bit, and I'll touch on this now. I want to get into it a lot later about your Instagram persona, about like the being true to yourself and putting yourself out there in a way that I haven't seen a lot of other people. You've got, at the time of this recording, you've got almost 100,000 Instagram followers, and you put yourself out there in a way that people with that many eyes on them don't necessarily do, and it's very respectful.
Oh, with like what, my silliness?
Yeah, just being a goofball while at the same time, like you got two sides of the coin. It's like a total goofball, total like on one side you just like to have fun and it shows through, but on the other hand you're like you stand up for what you believe in, and you do a little bit of activism and you talk about
definitely.
Yeah, so it's a very wide-ranging spectrum, but you put yourself out there in a way that I just wanted to applaud you for, because it's, like I said, it's a very respectable way.
Oh, thank you so much!
Yeah.
Yay!
So we'll get back to Instagram in a bit. I want to shift gears right now to American Idol.
Ooh.
Yeah. So how old were you when you auditioned? What was that audition process like?
So the audition process was like, first of all, I was pretty casted for the show. I posted a video and I got a phone call from my agent. I got a message from a woman saying, "Hi, who represents you?" And I sent her my agent at the time's information, and then I got a phone call from my agent saying that they wanted to cast me for this season of American Idol. And I was like, excuse me? Cast me for this season? What?
I didn't know they cast people.
Well, they don't cast everybody, but sometimes they want people who will be genuinely entertaining. So, and there were about 20 of us, or maybe more, who they found and casted to legit just be talented and entertaining. Because I think the issue was a lot of people who were still auditioning for Idol, they were having an issue not producing stars. So they went on a hunt specifically for, quotations, stars. So they got people who they thought were funny, people who were like entertaining, and people who could obviously sing. We all had to be able to sing. But yeah, we all went and like got casted. So I didn't have to go and do the big audition in any type of stadium or anything like that. I went to the city I was told to go to, that they picked for me to go to. And then, yeah, and the judges didn't even say yes to me the first time. They said no. But they aired it as if they said yes, because they had me go in a second time. And when I was about to leave, they were like, please wait around. And then I did. And then they said yes. But someone had pulled me aside before I even went in and was like, yeah, so just keep doing what you're doing. You're going to make it through. And I was like, okay, cool.
Yo, I think you just pulled back the curtain on some shady American Idol stuff right there, man.
Oh, oops. Delete it. Oh, no.
I don't know. That's incredible. Oops. I didn't know they did that.
Don't tell nobody.
Well, if you want, we can cut it out. It's fine.
You can keep some of it. Shoot.
Was it stressful for you at any point?
Oh my gosh, man, it was the worst experience ever. It is so, oh my gosh, it is gut-wrenchingly stressful. Like, there's stress, really? And then there's that. Oh my gosh. They never tell you what's going on. You can't leave the hotel. You can't do all of these things. And then if you can, you have to let all these people know what you're doing, where you are. It's overwhelming. And then you're also in this little bubble where it seems like you matter so much. There's people screaming outside when you walk outside. And then when you're off the show, none of that mattered. Nobody cares. No, millions of people stop watching Idol after Adam Lambert. It's a totally different world. And I recently saw a thing on E! Where they mentioned that most people who were on American Idol have PTSD And that is
No
so
kidding.
true. Yes. When I hear that, I used to, like, my heart sinks. Like, it gives me anxiety. And I have not been able to watch American Idol, The Voice, even The Four, any of these, because I know how it really goes behind the scenes.
Wow. I had no idea.
Yeah, it's like hella, it's very stressful.
And did I read correctly that after American Idol, your hair started to come out?
Oh my gosh, yes. Well, during American Idol, I was losing tons of hair, like just coming out, shedding in balls, because we were
From the stress.
we were all so stressed. It was so stressful. Yeah. And there's so many people in your ear. Like, it's very overwhelming, especially when I said no the first time that they asked me to be on the show. Well, I said no to my agent. I said, no, I have no interest in being on that show, because I knew that it would be a lot. You know, you're standing in front of America saying, judge me. Standing in front of anywhere, you get judged anyway. So to open your arms to it, it's overwhelming.
Huh.
Yeah, it was a lot.
I don't even know what to say with this. This is a side of the show business that I guess, we know it's there.
They're not going to sit here and tell you. But they had a psychiatrist on deck for us, because they knew how stressful and like rough it is. Plus, they didn't even like warn us that as soon as this starts. Oh, can you hear me? Hello?
What's that?
Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, they didn't even warn us that as soon as this starts, all these blogs and everything start coming out, and then your life literally changes overnight. And they didn't.
How did yours change?
Well, all these people were now starting to talk about me, and people weren't very positive either. It was just like immediately I was getting there were like hundreds of pictures all around and on social media. And social media was it was still like popping, but it's not what it is now. I mean, I feel like every year it gets crazier. But this was like 2015.
Yeah, so 4 years ago.
Yeah. So social media was definitely, it was different. I just had my Instagram. Like, it was different. And I was not prepared at all for everything that we were going to go through. It was very stressful. I think what's the most stressful is just not knowing ever what's going on. And they keep it like that because it makes good TV. The stress and everything, it makes good TV.
Wow. Did you use the therapist at all, or were you like just screw this person?
I think I did use the therapist once. I know that. Yeah, I think I used them. I think I did.
Did it help at all, or my hair's falling out?
Obviously, I don't know, because I don't even remember if I used them really.
Yeah, that's a pretty damn good point.
Yes, I don't know. Hopefully.
So then, obviously, I think recently I was looking on your Instagram last night to prep for this, and I think you were saying, or you posted a video recently that your hair is just now growing back. Is that right?
Oh my gosh! First of all, I didn't know I had hair. I thought it had all fallen out. So I was very happy to see that I had hair, and I've been like wearing it and stuff, and I love it. But no, I did not know that my hair had grown back by any means. No.
Wow. And so you're big into wigs, obviously. Like I see you posting a lot online.
I love a wig.
Yeah, and you got some nice ones too.
Oh, thank you so much. Woo. Thanks. I love a wig.
But I love it though. Like, again, going back to like how you present yourself, you don't hide that you wear wigs. You're like, this is what I do. This is what I like, and check this out. Isn't this wig like the shit? It's amazing, right?
Oh yeah, that's me. That's me all day. I kind of think it's dumb when you hide things. Like, I wear contacts sometimes, and I think it's dumb to say like, oh no, these are like, if someone's like, oh, what contact? Where'd you get your contacts? I think I should let you know so you can win as well if you like mine. But most people are like, oh no, these are my real eyes, and it's like, no, they're not. Or if I was dumb enough to be like, no, this is my real hair. It's like, it's not. Like, I can just accept that this isn't me, that I added on and I enjoy adding it on. And then if I say something, then other people will maybe feel more comfortable. Because I didn't like a lot of things about myself. I was so teased about my skin. and not my skin color even. I mean that too, but I never cared about being teased by my skin color. I always loved my skin color, but I developed acne really, really young because I had such horrible eczema.
Mhm.
So I just started finding things to make me still love myself, and one of those was like makeup, because then when I looked in the mirror, I could see me and not just my spots. And if I didn't like my hair, if I was having a bad hair day, then I learned to add hair, so that I would never sit and be like, oh, I hate this about me and that about me. It was like, oh, I don't like this. Oh, I like it now. Oh, I don't love this. Ooh, love it now.
That's a good way. It's very mindful of taking a positive approach versus a negative approach to an issue, I guess, when it's presented to you. And I feel a lot of people they're like, oh gosh, Eeyore, this got me down, womp womp. Whereas, I mean, I met you in person, and I get this vibe from you in general anyway, but you're just like, I'm not gonna let that get me down. I'll go fix that now.
Yeah, a lot of things don't actually bother me. In America, we let a lot of things stress us out that don't matter. And I try to be cognitive of that so that I'm not, a first world brat.
Mm-hmm. And after American Idol, then, when did you, or I guess, how did you make your way into New York and the Broadway scene?
So after American Idol, I did. I think I did an independent film, but also I was. A lot of my friends were sending me auditions. They were sending me things that needed a singer. I was getting tagged in a lot of things all over the internet from people in Atlanta who knew that I live there now and stuff, and they would tell me like, oh, this is happening right here, or this is whatever. And one of them was an audition for this show called Born for This. So this was in like 2016. Wow, is it 2016? Maybe 2015. Yeah. Oh, 2015. No, yes, 2015. Oh my gosh, yes. So, all right. So I got, I went in for an audition to understudy Diana, to understudy Diana Ross. And I went in for I taped that audition. And then when I went into the audition for Born for This, I killed it. And then the director was like, so I want you to know I'm the same director who did Motown. And I actually want to get you in for Diana. So then I ended up doing Born for This at the time. They sent me out to do Diana. And then when I was in, we don't have to connect that there. But I went out for that, and then I booked my first national tour. And then the national tour took me to Broadway. After the tour was done, they took me with them to Broadway. And then after that, I took a break for a long time because Broadway was traumatic, or touring was traumatic. I hated tour. So after that, I was like, yeah, we can't. I'm good off this for a while. Then I went.
What was it about touring that you didn't like?
The inconsistent life of touring. I was not a fan of. Now, a lot of my friends love it. They've been on tour for years. They love it. I was just not that person. I don't know. I just didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah, you're the first person that has mentioned, like the first person in their 20s without children who has mentioned that they dislike touring, because it's a free tour across the country.
I mean, it is like, for one, I had a boyfriend. And I hated leaving him at the time. And then also, I just felt really lonely on tour. The Motown tour, a lot of people weren't that happy because I guess they had been touring for a while. We had, I don't know. It just wasn't always a fun environment. Oh, everybody was already aged also, so it wasn't like an exciting new because there's a young cast are happy, they're grateful for a job. Sorry, they're vibrant and stuff. That wasn't Motown. These were veterans who were there to get their money and go home.
Wow. These are the sides of theater that we hear a lot about. Thank you.
Right. Well, I just want to be honest, because I know so many people were coming up to me do you love Broadway? What do you think about this? What's your advice for me and all of that stuff? All of these kids who just have a dream. And I'm always honest because I don't want anybody to get into this and not love it anymore. because they find out now, how tiring it is. Or that after like maybe the 100th show, now you're kind of starting to get a little bored, or all the things that come with this. I just want people to know.
Right. And so then you came back to New York, and how did you get into Once on This Island?
Okay, so I was in Atlanta, and I decided randomly that I was ready to go back. I had been auditioning for a while in Atlanta, but a lot of the roles that I was going out for in Atlanta, they wanted me to be a little bit more blacker and talk a little blacker and do all these things that I just was not good at. And I was kind of tired of being in that box and just getting close to. I got close to leading to like big roles, I think 3 times, and each time I got beat out by someone in LA or New York. I was like, yeah, I'm ready to like really get back into Broadway then. So after about I got a Broadway agent. I got with Clear Talent, and then after maybe about 4 auditions with them, it had only been 2 weeks when I booked Once on This Island. And then
Wow, you came back in 2 weeks.
No, I booked it after 2 weeks of being with my agent.
Oh, right. So how long were you back in New York at that point?
I hadn't moved yet. I was still in Atlanta.
Wow. And so you got cast as the Swing, and how many different tracks did you have to know?
6. But my favorite, at first it was T-Moon, but then it was Asaka, because man, that was a snack track for me. I went and sang a song and went and sat down.
I've never heard that phrase before, a snack track.
Yeah, that's a snack track where you go and you steal the show and then go plop in your chair. And you're a principal.
That's not bad.
I'm amazing.
So I remember watching I believe it was the first time you ever sang Mama Will Provide publicly. Yes. And you nailed
Praise
it.
God.
Nailed it in front of the producers.
Right. Way to go, Loren.
Yeah, they came up and they were like, wow, thank you. We've never seen you do that.
That's so exciting. That was so exciting. They were so happy for me. And we have it all on video. I'm grateful forever for that.
I know. I think the clip of you performing is on your YouTube channel. So you were swinging and left the show and then came back.
Oh my gosh. So I was a swing, and I booked Born for This that came back around. So I booked Born for This, and I was still trying to keep my swing job. And just come back to it, because I was only going to be gone for 2 months. But Once on This Island, I mean, when you're a swing for 6 tracks, that's a big thing to lose. You gotta. Yeah. That's a lot. So they weren't able to have me back. They needed to recast a whole nother person, which I was like, okay, that's fine. And then Haley broke her leg. Haley Kilgore, who played
That's
T-Moon.
Right.
She broke her leg. And
did she break it in the show? Oof.
Goals though, because then she got that workers' comp. But but yeah, she broke it in the show, and then I had seen that the understudies were on a lot, because I felt so left out, because that was my family over there. So I was like, why? Like, what's going on? And then I saw Haley post that she was in a boot, and I was like, ooh. Dang, so I guess they're just going to have them alternating a lot. Like, dang, that, Lord, wow. So then my final weekend in Born for This, I get a phone call that they would like me to come back and be T-Moon. And I thought it was so incredible how God worked that out, because if I had stayed, they would not have asked me to now be T-Moon, because I was doing all the other tracks. So it was just crazy how it worked out for all of us, really, that they didn't have to like do this big recast, and it was just, I was so grateful.
And had the show announced that it was closing at that point?
No, it closed months later, months after I left.
How long did you get to play?
I got to play T-Moon for about I think maybe 2.5 months, 2 months. I got to play Timu.
Oh, yeah. That's a
Yeah,
solid
it's a
run.
stint. That's what the article said when they casted me for The Young and the Restless. They called it she did a stint on Broadway as Timu, and I love that word. So now I use it. I'm like, yeah, I did a stint.
So you ended that. The show closed. It was a great show, by the way. I absolutely loved it. And then is that when you moved into The Young and the Restless?
No. So after I finished my contract with Once on This Island, I was like, well, it's time for me to move to LA. Because why not? I didn't have a job in New York, and I was like ready to go. So I was like, let me just try LA. Because I wanted to be in LA anyway. That it was beautiful weather, and I'm just more of an LA girl. So I was like, let's try it out. I came here, and everything. I started having a feeling that it was where God wanted me, because everything started falling into place. So I switched over to my LA agency from my New York agency. They had a branch, so that was perfect. And then my managers had an LA branch, so then I just switched on over to them, so that was perfect. I went in, and I had all of this money that I'd saved up from Broadway, so I was able to afford to live well. So even if I didn't have a job for a long time, I could still live off of my savings. So there was that. I got an apartment that was very affordable, and in a super, super cute building, super safe, and that was in like right where I wanted to be in Hollywood. And I was like, well, this is great. And then my first audition, I made it all the way to the director's session, and I was like, okay, what's going on? So then my second audition, again, I made it to producers or directors. And then my fifth was a tape for The Young and the Restless. And all the black girls in LA were going out for it. So I didn't really think much of it. And then I got the call that they wanted me to come and do a screen test for The Young and the Restless. And I was like, what? Okay. And this was about my third or fourth week in LA. Like officially moved into my place and stuff. It was like about my third and fourth week in LA. And I went into the screen test with 8 other girls, did my chemistry read with the boy who now plays my brother. And I got the phone call literally. I left the screen test, and they said, my manager said, well, give it about a week before we hear anything. And then I think an hour later, I got the phone call that I had booked the job. And it was... Wow, it was crazy, and this all happened so fast. Like it was like I left. I had only been off Broadway for a month, and
then when did you start filming?
7 days later.
Wow. What's it like on the soap opera set? Is it like a sitcom where you're in front of people and you have only 2 to 3 takes, or do you get to go in and improvise at all, or how's that compare to the other film work?
So you only have about 1 or 2 takes to get it. We usually only do 1, but sometimes we do 2. Majority of the time, though, it's usually about 1 or 2. Though I can't think of many times when I've ever done 3. We move very, very fast. We film a whole episode in a day, so it's a lot of memorizing. Yeah, it's a lot for sure. It's a lot of learning.
And so if you drop a line or change a line,
no, because it's so many scripts. You don't have to be word perfect, but you do have to tell the story. But I like to be word perfect. I don't think I've earned the right yet to not be word perfect. I haven't been there long enough. The boy who plays my brother, he's been there for 15 years. He changes everything. He lives his life. I'm not at that place yet. I still need to study and make sure that I say everything exactly how it needs to be said and have the flow right and stuff. I don't feel as free just yet, but I'm also still getting used to how fast this moves. Because I would sometimes like at least 4 takes to get comfortable and to like get it in your body and, like rehearse, Yeah. But you got it. You just have to kill it. You have to kill it immediately. because that's really like the only time that you get. And the whole day is basically first come first serve. So if you mess up and you keep and you keep people holding, that's now trickling into everybody else's work. Now they're gonna have to be there for longer than they would have needed to if you had just gone faster. So yeah.
Wow. And you said that the guy who plays your brother has been there 15
years.
And so some people make their entire career on a soap opera. Do you have any sort of plans to leave one day, or do you think this is it for a while, or what?
What I would love is for this to be my home base. So to be able to go off and do other projects and always come back here. Because I've seen that that's what some other people do, or some people go and they book completely other shows, and then they don't ever come back. But what I really want is I want to be a movie star. I want to play a Disney princess. But I want to do, TV is great. Primetime is great. Consistent check, especially on a show like This Is Us, it's great. But I really do want to be in movies. And, movies in primetime wouldn't make me mad either. But I do want to do my dream. I've never seen myself on the big screen still. Like, that's just still a huge dream of mine, is just to make a lot of movies. I want to book a trilogy. And like a Twilight where you do like several. And then like you'll just be at home and get the phone call like, hey, we're doing another movie. Here's another 3 million. You know what I mean?
Would you be, what about a Marvel Universe character?
I dream. I went out for Black Panther, right? Immediately after my audition, I get a private email that wasn't to my agents or anything. It was just to me from Marvel. And they said, how tall are you? And I was like, ah! They didn't end up going with me, obviously, but like, that's a dream.
Wow.
I know, I felt so special.
Wow. Oh man, you were a couple inches off from
oh, look, my shortness gets in the way of everything. I'm like short and stout. Not literally stout, but I'm working on my Coke bottle figure because right now I'm more of a Sprite, but the Coke bottle's coming, so just gonna keep working on it.
That's funny. So we've been talking for quite a while. We'll wrap this up here, but before we go, I want to ask you 3 standard questions that I ask everybody on the podcast here. So standard question number 1: what motivates you?
What motivates me is truly my grandparents. Because I want to do all of these things while they're still alive, because they've been so much help in everything, in raising me and in giving me cars to drive up to LA and taking and helping my mother out with anything that she needs. And they are so proud of me. Now, it took a while to get them on board because they were like, you want an actress? That's not a real job. So now that I'm making it, they're like so excited and like they're always proud. And I want them to be able to see me do so many things and see, because they're the ones who made all the sacrifices for us to be where we are now. So I just want them to see that everything that they've done, all of their sacrifices, all the discrimination that they went through, and now for me to be on a soap and be the darkest one on the show, like just all of these things. I want them to be able to keep being able, like to see me win and to see me continue to praise God, and I want them to be there for all of that. So that really motivates me to just keep going and get it done, and be patient, but at the same time not be afraid to hurry up. So while they're still here. Thank you.
That's a beautiful answer. All right. Next question is, what advice would you give to your younger self and younger people listening now, starting
my younger self? I would tell my younger self to cut out gluten early so I wouldn't have to deal with it later. Freaking Loren. And cut out milk and cheese. Doggone it. Just be better with that, Loren. I would tell myself to use concealer early and not think that black eyeliner running is cute. I would also tell myself the worst things to tell myself.
I'm grinning from ear to ear right now.
I would also tell myself to start taking care of my hair early. Stop perming it at a young age and start embracing my natural beauty. So that I wouldn't be a slave to wigs later in life. Because I just now, in my late 20s, have learned to not be a slave to my hair. And that has affected everything in my life. You know, being when you're black in your hair, that's a very huge relationship. And if I had just learned that sooner, I think it would have changed a lot of things. My confidence, a lot of relationships that I had, a lot of things. I think that would have changed a lot of things. What the advice that I would give to other people would be not to. I know it's so hard to say it because we're already ingrained in like how we think. But I would just say don't stress over all these little things and to trust in the process. Because I can think of so many times being 16 years old, having friends that I auditioned with who made it, who booked these Disney shows and all of these things, and then we get 20. They're not working anymore. Those shows are done. And now they're back in the same grind that I am. And then a few years later, nobody remembers them at all. No one remembers their name. No one can remember that they even saw them in anything. Their money is dried up, all of that stuff. Whereas like me, now I'm like finally starting, but it's so slow, but I'm also learning so many lessons. I'm not being slapped in the face with fame immediately. I get to learn how to manage my money. I get to learn how to give money. I get to learn how to be compassionate for other people and not just be a diva. Because I think sometimes, especially when everything is all about you, it is easy to get lost in that. And to be a diva, because you talk about yourself all day, like it's just you. But I've gotten to now watch other people have their you moments and see people lose themselves, and now I won't. And I've gotten to see people go crazy on drugs, and now I won't. I just get to watch other people. I don't want to say fail, but I get to watch other people's processes and then get to like shape my own. And now I would tell them also to just see their career more as a garden. I mean, as a tree, because a lot of people will have these garden careers where they come and go really fast, while yours is over there, getting the roots and still growing. And, you're looking at this garden that's coming and going and you're not having anything, you're still like underground. No one can see it. But as soon as you sprout and you grow, that tree lasts for like, that tree can last forever. I want mine to be a redwood tree that lasts for like ever and ever. And that outlasts every garden. And it will outlast me. That's what I want. What I want my career, my legacy to be, instead of these garden careers. But that takes time, and that's a process. That's not going to be fast, like these tomatoes and all of these other things. So I would just say trust in the process, trust in the time. If you don't get something, start saying thank you, because you don't know what that was saving you from that you were going to book in the future that would have hindered you from booking that in the future. That's actually going to change your life and your financial blessings. So I would just say that. Trust the process. Pray a lot.
Okay, so last question. If you can only see one show for the rest of your life, but you can see it as many times as you want, what show would you see?
That is such a good question. Oh my gosh. One show. You know what? I just gotta go with The Lion King. I'm so basic, but I love The Lion King. I am such a Disney fan, man. Doggone it. Fan. It's always a feel good. It ruptures my heart and then it puts it back together again. And those men be looking so fine and with their tights on and their muscles out. And I just see a lot of beautiful booties. And there's kids in the show, and they're beautiful and adorable, and I love seeing kids in a show. So if I saw that forever, there'd always be a different kid. So I'll pick that.
All right. So we can find
Yes.
you online at Loren Charisse on Instagram and Twitter, facebook.com/Loren Charisse. And you can get more of me at theater_podcast on Instagram and Twitter, facebook.com/official theater podcast. Listen and subscribe via thetheaterpodcast.com or everywhere you find podcasts today. This is produced by Jillian Hockman. And thank you, as always, to Jukebox the Ghost for our lovely intro and outro music. Loren, thank you so much. You are a beautiful person inside and out. Thank you again.
Thank you so much. You're awesome.
For this conversation. This has been great.
Take a deep breath, make the world a little colorful.